In a quiet town called Maplewood, there stood a large aging school with tall windows and long hallways. Many children attended the school, and though the town was small, the school was always bustling with energy. One autumn morning, a new student arrived. Her name was Emma. She was quiet, always keeping to herself, and seemed lost in thought most of the time. Unlike the other kids, she didn't rush to make friends or join in the noisy games during recess. Instead, she sat alone, staring out the window. Ryan, a friendly and outgoing boy, noticed Emma sitting by herself. He had a natural curiosity and a kind heart, so he decided to approach her. He walked over with a bright smile and said, "Hi, I'm Ryan. What's your name?" Emma looked up at him, hesitated for a moment, then answered softly, "Emma." Ryan tilted his head. "Do you want to play soccer with us?" Emma shook her head gently. "No thanks." Ryan felt a little disappointed, but didn't want to give up. Something about Emma made him want to understand her. Days passed, and she remained distant. But then, one afternoon, he found her in the library, flipping through the pages of an old book. Curious, he approached her. "Hey, Emma, what are you reading?" Emma hesitated, but then turned the book toward him. It was a story about an old mansion hidden in the woods. Ryan's eyes lit up. "Oh, I love mystery stories. Mind if I read with you?" Emma gave a small nod, and for the first time, they sat together. Ryan noticed something odd. Each time Emma turned a page, she whispered something under her breath. He leaned in slightly and listened carefully. The whisper was faint, but clear. "Help me." A chill ran down his spine. He looked at Emma. "Did you say something?" She blinked at him, confused. "No, I didn't." Ryan's stomach twisted. He was sure he had heard it. As days passed, their friendship grew. They read together often, but each time, Ryan still heard that strange whisper. One day, as they were putting their books away, he finally asked, "Emma, where do you live?" Emma hesitated. "I live in the White House near the river." Ryan's eyes widened. He knew that house. It was the old house at the edge of town. The one people avoided. They said it had a dark history. "Can I visit you sometime?" he asked. Emma looked at him for a long moment before nodding. "Okay." That afternoon, Ryan walked with Emma to her home. The house stood alone, surrounded by tall trees. The paint was peeling, and the windows were dusty. As they stepped onto the porch, the wooden boards creaked beneath their feet. Ryan glanced at Emma. "Do you live here alone?" She shook her head. "No, my dad is here, but he doesn't like visitors." Emma frowned. "Why not?" Emma didn't answer. She just opened the door and let him inside. The house was dimly lit, with old furniture covered in dust. There was a strange stillness in the air, as if the house itself was holding its breath. Ryan felt uneasy, but followed Emma into the living room. On the wall, there was a large frame photo of a woman. She looked exactly like Emma. He pointed at it. "Who is that?" Emma's expression darkened. "My mom." Ryan felt a chill. "Where is she?" Emma hesitated. "She isn't here anymore." Something about the way she said it sent shivers down Ryan's spine. He decided to leave and come back later with someone else. That evening, he told his best friend Noah about the house. Noah was fearless and always looking for adventure. "Let's go back at night," he suggested. "We can find out what's really going on." Ryan wasn't sure it was a good idea, but his curiosity got the best of him. That night, with flashlights in hand, they returned to the house. The air was colder than before. As they stepped inside, the floorboards groaned beneath them. They explored the house, whispering to each other. Then they noticed a locked door at the end of the hallway. Ryan reached out for the handle, but before he could touch it, the door creaked open on its own. Inside, they found a small room filled with old belongings. Dusty books, torn dresses, and a cracked mirror. On the wall was another picture of Emma's mother, but this time something was different. The reflection in the glass didn't match the photo. It showed her with hollow, lifeless eyes. Suddenly, a whisper filled the air. "Help me." Ryan and Noah froze. The whisper wasn't coming from Emma, it was coming from the room itself. They bolted out of the house, their hearts racing. The next day, Ryan confronted Emma. "Emma, that house, that room, who is in there?" Emma looked down, tears welling in her eyes. "My mom. She never really left." Ryan's breath caught in his throat. "What do you mean?" Emma wiped her eyes. "She died years ago, but something kept her here." Ryan couldn't understand. "But why do I keep hearing, 'Help me'?" Emma whispered. "Because she's still trapped." Ryan and Noah knew they had to do something. That night, they returned to the house, this time determined to find answers. They searched every corner, looking for something, anything that could explain what was happening. Then, behind the bookshelf, they found a locked wooden box. Inside, there was an old key. Ryan held it up. "This must be it." They hurried to the locked room. The key fit perfectly. As they turned it, a sudden rush of cold air surrounded them. The door opened, revealing an empty space, except for a single note on the floor. Ryan picked it up and read the words out loud. "I am waiting." A gust of wind blew through the room, and for the first time, they saw her, Emma's mother. She stood there, a ghostly figure, her eyes full of sorrow. Emma stepped forward. "Mom?" The figure smiled softly. "Thank you for remembering me." The light in the room grew brighter. Emma's mother slowly fading, leaving only a warm, peaceful glow behind. The house, once cold and lifeless, suddenly felt lighter. Emma turned to Ryan, tears in her eyes. "You helped her find peace." Ryan felt a lump in his throat. "She was waiting for you." A week later, Emma seemed different. She smiled more, spoke louder, and played with the other kids. One afternoon, Ryan found a small envelope in his locker. There was no name on it. Inside was a note. Ryan, thank you for helping Emma. You were the friend she needed. Take care of her. With love, her mom. Ryan felt his heart tighten. He showed it to Noah. Noah whistled. That's incredible. Ryan carefully tucked the note away, knowing he had a promise to keep. As the seasons changed, so did Emma. She was no longer the quiet girl in the corner. She laughed, made new friends, and even joined in on the games at recess. One day, she led Ryan and Noah back to the old house. It was no longer dark and lonely. It felt like a home again. In the backyard, Ryan showed them something. A small garden, blooming with flowers. This was my mom's favorite place, she said. Ryan smiled. We'll take care of it together. And from that day on, they did.